Hi, welcome to part 2 of... I did give it a name. I have put the first video on YouTube. It's private for the moment, haven't advertised it yet. By the time you're seeing this, it'll be there. I gave it a title, came up with just something silly on the spot. It's Every Semicolon. Not a huge fan, but not really sure if I can think of anything better. Obviously, if I had the name of the game, that'd be great. So let's say part 2 of Every Semicolon. If I change the name, I'm going to look like an idiot. Probably going to do that quite a lot to myself anyway as this goes on. So I've watched some of the first video. I didn't obviously watch it all. That would be kind of weird. But I've skimmed through it and I've determined that I should do a few things. I've raised the volume of my microphone. I'm going to try and talk clearer this time and enunciate more. It's obviously difficult while you're working and I talk fast to do so, but hopefully with the louder microphone volume I'll be easier to hear. Okay, so I've just opened this up. Literally no changes since last time. That's the point of this video series, to everything I work on I do with the record button hit. So, man, I really like the style. Yeah, this looks really nice. That it's gonna work. It's gonna work, and I'm happy about it because I get to build it. And I don't think it's gonna take a long time. That's the kind of other cool thing. I think I can get to the point where it's going to be sort of a game where there's lots of levels and putting those together could be pretty fun. But the basic gameplay I don't think will take too long to make. I think the trick will be obviously tweaking it enough and to get it fun. But that's enjoyable too. And just doing this recording sort of helps. It's easy to procrastinate sometimes, and once I start getting these videos online and hopefully get some people watching, get some feedback, it'll be hopefully a motivator for me to keep going and not slow down. Alright, so watching the first video, obviously I was just starting, talking about a lot of stuff, very random, few rabbit holes I went down with things like that. How linear space lighting sort of messing up my spec stuff and chasing that down, and also just talking about random things. I noticed that I'd start talking about one thing and then branch off into another, but thankfully I would always come back from my my digressions, which is good, and usually finish my thoughts, albeit a little bit late. So I'm going to try and be more straightforward, more consistent, and try to get a lot done this episode. I'm not sure how long it's going to go for. I'm also not sure about things like chucking a 2-hour video on YouTube turned out to be fine. But if this goes for more than 2 hours and I end up having to cut it up, that'll happen. I'll name them part 2, part 3, and there will be a very I probably won't have any good gaps. I'll just try and find somewhere that sounds like there's a bit of a pause, but I won't then obviously know to make note of the fact or say anything about it being part 3. So hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully I can just chuck on 10-hour videos onto YouTube or something like that. I'm not sure if Google will be too happy if I do that, but they've got the bandwidth and the server space, I'm sure. Right, so let's get into it. Today I want to do some stuff with weapons, get some of the basic gameplay going. So we're going to make something, maybe a catapult sort of device. I'll start planning sort of how I want the weapons to work. I want things to be fairly consistent. I try to do things fairly often generic, so that one weapon will work similar to others, and it's just a matter of swapping out content. Make things data driven as possible, make it easier to modify and to tweak, and which is the same thing. So make new versions of it, make variations, that sort of thing. Again, what was the other thing? Camera stuff. I guess I said last time I was going to work on camera stuff, so I'll do that. Start looking at some sort of camera system. Everything's. The one thing about this video, I think I've talked to other programmers before about this sort of thing, and often the impression I get, or the explicit reason I get for why people don't want to do this, and I think I felt the same way in the past when I thought about it, is people don't want to look stupid. They don't want to put themselves out there and say, this is my ability, criticize me. I'm not concerned about that. I know I'm not the best at everything. I'm sure there's people out there who are better than me at everything. If I put this out there, someone's going to watch it who's better at me than at one thing. Someone's going to be better at me than another, and potentially I could get criticized on every single thing that I do. But I want that. That's fine. I find working in a team environment of programmers, the best way to learn is to have someone looking over your shoulder and point things out. Even as sort of work as a lead programmer at the moment, and I could have a junior there over my shoulder pointing things out. There's a shortcut to do that, or if you do that, that's a little bit faster, or why would you do things that way, and you talk it over, and you can, even if you're explaining something to them that they don't know, you can sort of clarify in your mind why it's a good thing to do. So this is sort of that on a bigger scale, hopefully, if people actually care enough to watch and comment. I'm happy to learn. I want to learn more, and be able to make games like this faster and better, and make more money. Well, money is a means to an end for me, and probably most, same as any indie company. It's not about the money; it's about having the financial capacity to do this full time, and as your full time job. Don't have to work a day job. Don't do this in your spare time. I, like most people, want to make games and want to do it on my own terms. So let's get started. Camera system. I want to give that a go first. So let's jump in here and make a new folder for camera. I'm going to make, for starters, a camera manager. I'm going to sort of design this as I go. Not necessarily the best idea, but it's not always a bad thing to do, just quickly prototype stuff. And obviously I'm going to be talking through it, and it's good to make mistakes, I guess, and learn from those mistakes. And I might purposely go down some routes that may not be my I guess I wouldn't necessarily do things that I'm going to do in a typical environment. And I know that sounds weird. Obviously I'm not going to do anything strange because of this video. Obviously I want to show this is a typical development, but I also want it to be sort of a teaching tool, and so people can discuss things, and maybe I start doing something that someone's done before, and they think, yeah, that's the way to do it, and then I do it a different way, and they think, okay, that's a better way. Maybe I just don't do that at all. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's just see what happens. Camera manager. My plan for this is to have it be possibly a static. I prefer to use a lot of static methods in classes like this. If this was not a mono behavior and instead was a static, or just had a lot of static variables, static methods, it makes it a lot easier to reference it from scripts. I don't need to find it. I don't need to make it a singleton. So we'll give that a go at first and see how we go. The other benefit of it is, if you have multiple scenes in Unity, persisting manager objects across scenes is, it's fairly easy to say, show example of how to do that. Put the mono behavior back in. Say in awake, I'll say don't destroy or unload this, or game object or something. And what that says is, when I load a scene, don't destroy this object. And that's really handy. That's great if you have a bunch of manager scripts. I like to put them on sort of a single object and just don't destroy it. And I might have to do that. Pretty sure I will be doing that in this game. I'll probably want to have an object that references the weapons in the scene or the islands in the scene. But alternatively, and what I'm going to do initially for this camera manager, which I may change later on depending on how it goes, what I'm going to do is make, say, let's make it a private array of camera objects called scene cameras. Initialize. I like to initialize arrays because what that allows you to do is I can go something like this, Whoop. That's that's not how you do an array. So that's that. I can do that. I can basically reference, the length. I can use this without having to worry about it being null. No, this is often something I find just a mistake. Yeah, okay. I work with programmers sometimes to do that, and you have to null check it. It's a way. Just don't bother. Just do that. Do that. No null check. It's all good. That was a weird thing to digress on, but again, yeah, that's why I initialize things. I always initialize my variables just for that sort of reason. All right, so I've initialized my scene camera array to a new camera array of size 0. Why an array? I don't know. I'm going to change it to a list shortly, probably. To use lists and other generic type of containers, you have to add in using system collections generic. You should keep using system.collections because, well, okay, you don't have to. Again, whatever's necessary, I guess. But with system.collections, I can do system.array stuff, and without system.array, interesting. Let's have a look. It's just not tell me anything. No. Okay, bad example, but there are some things in collections that you don't get in generic. That I believe there must be some sort of array methods. If I'm thinking, maybe not. Maybe I'm just going crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff in there. If you're doing some stuff with the non-generic type of collections, it's good to keep that in there for some other static methods and that sort of thing. So I'm going to just comment that out. Make a list camera called scene cameras. And again, initialize it. Okay. Now, public void add camera. Okay. Right, so this is sort of a two-step process. I want to have a static. Speaking of static, this is something I haven't really decided on my preference yet. Putting the static before or after. Okay, before. Okay, so what this allows me to do is have another script. I'm going to make my own camera script, which I apply to every single camera thing in the scene. Maybe not. Thinking now, maybe not. So I could make another camera script. Say, something camera. It's good to have a prefix for, your framework or your game, which you prefix scripts with. When I say it's good to, I mean that's just something I've done a number of times. So then it might have in its initializing method, whatever that may be. Probably, obviously it'll be a mono behavior, I guess. So probably awake or start add itself to use call camera manager dot add camera and add itself. It would be island game, except something short like IG camera. Image generator, no. And then it would add itself, and then it could be added to this list, and then stuff can be done with it. Thinking about it now, I don't necessarily want to have multiple cameras in my scene, because I think I spoke about this last time. I'm not interested in swapping from one camera to another. What I'm interested in is having maybe one camera that moves around the scene. So instead, what I think I want is just positions for cameras. So I don't need to store that anywhere. Any transform can be a a camera position and orientation. So what I'm going to do is make the camera manager instead shift the camera around, and I'm just going to utilize Unity's main camera variable here. So if you can go in here and go camera.main camera. I think main is what I've typically used. Let's just see what the difference is, if any. Nope. Okay. So the first enabled camera tagged main camera. The other one is probably deprecated these days, or will be shortly. That returns camera, and so does the other one. Yeah. So camera.main is probably what you should use. It's consistent with camera.current. So when they added camera.current, they probably added camera.main or changed it to camera.main, but left the old one for backwards compatibility. So let's remove that. Okay, let's think about this for a second. We have our main camera in the scene. What we want it to do is zoom around from point to point. I want to be able to tell the camera to interpolate to a new position. Some interpolated movement, some spherically interpolated rotation. Calling camera.main, I'm not positive, but it's probably similar to get component, or calling just regular transform. So caching that would be a good idea too, if we can. So let's make our first. We're going to go set camera transform. We're going to give it a transform. Now by default, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this camera manager work for multiple cameras probably at some stage, but for now I'll just make it so it uses the main camera by default. So desired transform. Let's put in here main camera. In fact, get public again. Make sure everything's static. Okay, this is actually where this would be better as private, and we'll make a property here. Okay, so the property will allow me to do a little bit of calculations before I turn it, so I can check if the main camera is null and find it using camera.main, and then return that. I typically don't put properties after the variable that they're made for. I'm going to do it for now. It's one of those things that I go back and forth on a preference for. I often put sort of hash regions around stuff, make a public variables, or public, let's call them public fields, C# after all. So a public fields section and private field section, property section, maybe a mono behavior methods, private, public methods, that sort of thing. For now I'm not going to bother with that. So main camera transform, this is probably what we'll be referencing more often than not. So if we don't have that, we're going to ask for main camera dot transform, and chuck that in there, uppercase. Alright, so set camera transform. Now what I was starting to say before was that what I'm going to do, I think, is now just make everything use main camera by default and support camera. Support this is working with any other camera. I'm not going to use it, I don't think, in this game as far as I know, but I'll just chuck in main camera. That's weird. Must be some sort of yes, not static. Okay. Alright, so this will be the one I call, and then it will call this one. It's a little bit slower because it's not only is it calling a it's going here and grabbing this property, it's doing a little if statement every single time it does that, which isn't great. You know, it's, if possible, it'd be better to have some sort of initialize function that I knew ran first, and set all that stuff, and I knew it wasn't going to be null. And even here, you know, I can do a null check. One little if statement here and there, you know, even if it's done a bunch of times a frame. I'm not really too concerned about that. That's more for later on. You know, it's still better than a lot of alternatives. And if I determine that it is a problem, and it will become a problem if it's used thousands and thousands of times a frame, and that'll be determined later on in the project with the profiler. At that point, I can optimize. Going crazy on optimization up front, not always a great idea. Sometimes you make no progress, sometimes you just cause yourself a lot of grief. It's good to optimize a fair amount though, you know, as long as it's not getting in the way of progression. I want to swap that over to a transform. Okay, so I could do it here as well. I could do a look if camera equals null, log an error. The camera provided to okay, I'm going to do my patented digression and start making some utility scripts. I'm going to call this utils. Alright, I need some sort of prefix. No, I don't. Let's call it unity utils. Yeah, and this might be a script I even just release for free later on if it's got some useful stuff in it, but at the end of the day I'll try and include it all in here. Okay, so call it debugging. Okay, what I want to do is make a method that returns a string for getting the name of the game object and its component for use in those sort of debug messages, just to make things a little bit easier so I know what the message, where the message is coming from. So I'm going to make two methods here. One is get component full name. This is one I've made before for another few projects. Component. And I'll make, while I'm here, this one. Get hierarchy. Wow. I'll use a transform for now. Oh, Christ. Okay. So, what I want to do is get the full hierarchy of this transform in some sort of readable string format. So string okay, string t equals transform dot name, transform equals transform dot parent while transform dot parent is not equal null. And transform name, full name maybe. So I want to add on the name of the parent before it. Transform dot name, not plus equals, let's get that plus the existing name. So Yeah, let's see if this makes any sense now that I've written it. Alright, so we bring in a transform. We're going to assume it's not null for now. We can also just, if transform is equal to null, return null transform. Okay, so get the transform's name. If the transform's parent is not null, meaning if it has a parent, we jump in here, we set transform to now be the transform parent. The full name grabs transform's name, which is the parent's name, adds it to sort of prefixes it with to the original name we have, and it's a loop, so it comes back around. If that parent has a parent, comes in here and does the same. That seems like it'll be okay, but we'll find out shortly. If component is equal to null, return null component. Otherwise, return right, we use this get hierarchy component dot transform plus so also want to put in here some sort of delimiter between the names, so we use a dot, and for the component name let's put in a different type of delimiter. How about that? Pretend we're in C# and that made component if you don't want the type, get type. Shouldn't need to two-string it, but I will just for fun. Okay, let's see if any of that works. Unity utils. I might just rename it to UU, just so it's less to type. Alright, so this is how I will now do these error logs. I'll say UU dot get component full name this, and then get component full name this. Grab the method name. Given null camera in method. So I guess I'll try to cause this error later on and see if that all works fine, or I can just output it at some point. Alright, so set camera transform. What we want to do is, that just sounds like a very basic sort of thing, so let's make it a very basic sort of thing. Camera.transform position equals desired transform dot position, and do the same for rotation. Okay. Probably not going to use that method much, if at all, because I wanted to do nice slick movements around. Okay, what have we done? Debug log error UU get component full name this plus. One thing I should probably start doing, and I'll just jump out now to do it, is look at this a little bit better. So this, if I just read the error, problem solved, I often just jump in here and see if I can see the error straight up. So in a static method, this is not going to work. In fact, it's not even a component, so it's not going to work at all, this method here, unfortunately. What I can do is just not do that, because it's a static. I don't even care about doing that sort of thing. That'll come into play later on when I'm doing doing this sort of log in a mono behavior. I could also probably write a method to take the type of the class I'm in and output that name, but for now let's just leave it at that. Line endings, okay. Still haven't done anything about that. Might get around to it. one of these episodes. Alright, 30 minutes in, we've done nothing. Let's start doing something. So we have our camera, we can see it when we zoom in on it. Our gizmos, there we go, nice and big. Be able to see it from a bad distance. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you've got 3D gizmos, you can also toggle them off apparently, which is the more traditional Unity style. I don't know which one I prefer. I'd give 3D gizmos a go because I haven't really gotten to spend a lot of time in 3.5 yet. 3D gizmos look cool, so that's a plus. Alright, so I might need to start making the weapons, because what the weapons will do is they'll be prefabs that house the positions of the cameras. So a ballista might have a closer camera position versus a catapult, which is maybe a bit bigger, will have a further out camera position, and trebuchet might be further again. So what I'll probably do is make a weapon and give it a couple of camera positions. So what I'm thinking is chuck in a cube, which will serve as my weapon graphic for now. Okay, that totally looks like a slick. Another thing, listening to the first episode, notice I say a lot of things that annoyed me. I think I said I don't care a lot about people ripping me off, or that totally looks like, I think, far too many times. Tested it again, probably going to keep doing it. Can't be helped. I have to ramble a lot for these videos. Don't have to, but I want to make it not too quiet and boring. Right, so this is our first weapon. We'll make a prefab from it soon, get the pivot on the bottom, all that sort of thing. So I'm thinking we're going to need a camera view sort of here, a bit offset to the right, that over the shoulder sort of view, so we can just sort of see what it can see and choose. It's good for or ultimately be choosing which weapon to use. So we'll have this sort of shot, and we'll be able to whip the camera around to look at this camera's perspective, or this weapon's perspective, and then same for this and that, and back and forth and all that sort of thing. And then when you go to shoot, what I'm going to do is have the camera come up here for that aiming mode, and then have it come down here for determining the power of the shot and potentially doing some aiming stuff. We don't have a slingshot at the moment, but we might end up with a weapon that works sort of like that. So you might get the Angry Bird style, pull back and aim like this sort of thing. Otherwise, catapult would probably be more pull it down and to a point, all the way down to full power, 45 degrees, mid power, and drop it on yourself at the top. Then maybe different stuff for trebuchet, probably similar. Ballista, be a pull back situation. Maybe that will be more like the Angry Birds style, be able to tilt. And I'll reference Angry Birds probably a lot, and it seems kind of lame because Angry Birds is Angry Birds, and it's like guys are making Angry Birds rip off. That's not the plan. There's no birds. If I was going to make an Angry Birds rip off, it'd be called Ruffled Feathers, and it would be about British birds with top hats, and it'd be uppity and it'd be hilarious and awesome. Instead, we're doing dwarves and leprechauns and sky islands that look sweet as. Alright, so weapons. Weapon. Okay, so this will be a catapult. Catapult is a super awesome generic thing to start with. It's not exciting like a trebuchet, or not as scary as a ballista or something like that, but you got to start somewhere, and you can't really have this game without catapults. I don't know how big a catapult is, and maybe we should look it up. Catapult wiki. I might have to go through these videos and just double check sort of what's popping down here. Make sure I'm not revealing too much about myself. Catapult. What era are we going to set this game in? Make believe. Problem solved. Okay. I don't know. This is a big wall of text. Please tell me how big a catapult is. Let's use something silly like Wolfram. No, Wolfire. Wolfire. Good guys. Check out their videos. Humble Bundle. All that stuff. Wolfram Alpha. I don't use Wolfram Alpha. I'm going to pretend that I do because I'm super cool. It's really taking a while to load, so it's not really. Wolfram Alpha. How big is a catapult? It's like Ask Jeeves, but not. Okay, catapult. I don't know how to use Wolfram Alpha. I assumed it was like Ask Jeeves. It's embarrassing for everyone. Mostly Wolfram Alpha. Yeah, that ain't happening. Catapult length. How stuff works, that seems like a thing. Okay. Study of the catapult. Determining arm length of catapult. Physics forum. That sounds like fun. These aren't catapults. This is not a catapult page. This is the best web page I've ever seen because Lord of the Rings is a catapult. Wow. What internet error. Here we go. What's this? Nope. Nope. Alright, so we're going to just not do any of that. I'm going to tell you how big a catapult is. Big. Like 20 meters big. Problem solved. I'm good at this. Okay, so we're going to shove that 2.5 meters into the air. Make our graphics game object. What could possibly be in my Chrome autocomplete list that would matter? Oh God, I'm scared. Okay, so that is a catapult, as you can tell by the white boxiness. Something I am sort of, the thing I've figured out today, I think I was told this today, haven't really looked into it too much, but if you have, this is apparently according to the documentation of Unity, which I wholeheartedly believe, if you have a collider in the scene, whether or not static is ticked, if you don't have a rigid body on it, Unity treats it as a static collider for, and in physics that'll be optimized for some sort of collision stuff, and moving that collider is slow because it has to then regenerate its optimized static collision data. So if you want to have a collider that doesn't need a rigid body, put a rigid body on it anyway and make it kinematic. I don't know if I'm going to have stuff moving at the moment. If I have the islands moving up and down, I'll do that at a later date if I remember. Otherwise, I'm sure someone will let me know. Catapult totally works already visually, but let's give it some code to back it up. Yeah, I'm going to try to outdo the visuals with the code if possible. Probably not. Our catapult, I just didn't want to call that a weapon. Yes, I do. Again, generic scripts for stuff. Catapult is going to be a weapon. Now, weapons are going to have a number of things. They're going to have these camera perspectives, and that's what we're going to do first, and that's what we'll just straight up do. So I want a Camera, I'm going to prefix these with camera so that they all sit together nicely in an alphabetically. Camera. What will we call this view? Camera main view. Right. Sweet. Camera main view. Camera top view. Camera side view. So what these are going to be are transforms representing, well, transforms being where we want to put the camera for each type of position for the camera. So for now, and this is again that thing I showed last time, align with view, is going to come in really handy here. So let's give this catapult, I keep doing that expecting there to be a game object option in here. I wonder if I'm losing my mind. I need to add some stuff at some point, and then I'll do that. One of those things will be a way of creating a game object as a child, zeroed out, because that is the thing that I do constantly, and not having a shortcut to do that sucks. I don't want to digress right now, so I'm going to save that possibly for later in the episode or another episode. We're 40 minutes in. I feel fresh, I feel good. I'm going to keep going for a while, I think. This is going to be a long video. I hope I don't ramble too much. I hope I don't annoy anyone. Cameras. Now I'm going to call this cameras, even though there's not going to be any cameras in here. My confusion tactics are there totally for the plagiarizers. You know, they'll be thinking they'll be adding cameras where they shouldn't be adding cameras, and they'll be like trying to rip off the visuals through pulling things out of videos with magic. Main view. So most of the weapons will be, you know, if I make a trebuchet, it'll share the same general hierarchy, I imagine, except for the graphics. And also things I'll look at is animations. You know, I'll have animations for the various aspects of a weapon, shooting, aiming, idle stuff. Any little dwarves here will be interacting with the weapon, I imagine. Might be animations associated with that. I'll try to keep all that fairly generic as well, for the reasons I specified earlier. Alright, so main view is going to be a cool perspective like this. Bam, done. Next, Control D, Control D. Duplicate, side view, top view, swing the camera up, zoom it out. Okay, this is a weird one. I'm going to have to shift this top view around depending on the aspect ratio, because sure, it works here. I can see this and I can see this, but let's go. Let's just stop messing about. Pick what we want. Top view, game object, component, game object, game object, game object. Control Shift F. Let's instead do that because we're fully pro. Now that's that done. If I grab the main camera, do the same. Go into the game view. That looks cool. 5x4. That looks cool. Okay, obviously the height is not going to change. I don't know if I were doing anything crazy with the camera matrix. Probably not. So this will be only an impact in something like side view. I imagine it is a fairly simple calculation that I'll have to do later on. Basically, I want to have the camera in the center point between these two objects. I want to have this transform, a point in the center, looking this direction, sort of the right direction of that. I shouldn't need to use any cross products or anything. I'll just probably, well, I probably will because I won't have a real transform there. But again, no, actually, if this points here, doesn't necessarily need to do that. Alright, so I want to use the cross product. So I get the angle out here, and I want to position the camera at a distance at which both this and this are on the screen by some sort of amount, which I'll determine somehow. So that'll be something I'll have to figure out later on. For now, let's just position it fairly arbitrarily. That looks super. don't typically use the word super, so I'm pretty excited about having the opportunity. Alright. Cool. So that's a catapult with a few camera views. Let's just grab our game camera view and shove it back. Well, actually, yeah, okay, let's go to the side view. Game object, align view to selected, main camera, Control Shift F, game. Alright, so we have a massive width there, 5x4. Okay, we've almost lost that. I think that's the narrowest option we have here currently. So you can imagine how we'd lose the things, and obviously that showed how off center my aiming was. It also looks like the perspective is wrong because this one is actually a larger object than this one. I'm not sure how bad my... Yeah, I think that was actually not too bad. Yeah, alright. Anyway, let's go to the main view again. Do that. Show our main camera there just because it looks better when I go over here. Hey, that looks nice. That looks great. Ooh, even better. Camera, we want camera manager. Well, camera manager here. Alright, so this is a weapon. These are the views. I want to be able to hit buttons to make the camera manager swap these around. I haven't got this sexy lerping and slurping in there yet. Going to do that shortly. Slurping sounds weird. Vector update. No, it's not a vector. It's a void. Typing and talking. Bad in combination. Input get key up. Alright, I'm going to put some just default, not default, but just sort of test keys in here. So I want to hit that release the one key. Get key up means the key is going up. Basically, when you release, you also have get key for when it's down, and get key down for when it's first pushed down. Get key up is typically what I use for a press, basically. I might make an input manager later on. Input manager is good for a number of reasons. I don't like all this. Typically, I'm not really a fan. I like to make an input manager to handle that, handle regular button pushes, handle support things like changing the input in game. Not this. Unfortunately, they take the name Input Manager, which, don't steal the good names, Unity. Come on. Here, errors, because totally that's not a thing. So you can give this a string, I believe. The name of the key. That's kind of lame. Let's just use the enum. Alpha 1 through 0, I believe that's what we want. Numpad, I believe, is the other numbers. Keypad. Yeah, so alpha 1 will be the 1 key above the Q key on the keyboard. Right of the tilde key and that sort of thing. Okay, 1 to go to the main view. Camera manager. Set camera transform, camera main view. Okay, so I'm not going to put comments in because these are temporary. When I do it properly, I'll put some comments in, or not, because I know what this is doing, and I've talked about it. So do you. These could be null. That would be bad. Let's solve that issue with our awesome, okay, if camera main view is equal to null, yeah, I'll put it in there. Single line stuff is good, but if you want to do a couple of things, I don't like doing, typically I don't like doing, something like this, whatevs, because if you want to add something else, you then have to go in and do the curly braces anyway. So just do it, I reckon. That's what I reckon. Debug.log error. UU dot get component full name. This does has null camera main view. Whoop, camera main view. and then I want to just straight up return. Check for missing required variables. Top view, top view, top view, side view, side view, side view. Okay, done. Now I can be sure that this is not what I want to do. What I instead want to do is destroy this. Return. Let's do that in one line. It feels like one action. Alright, so what will happen is, if one of these is null, this script will be destroyed and wake will return out. So this update will never happen. I can be sure that these will not be null. Alright. Sorry, has null unexpected symbol. Yep. Need to combine these two strings rather than just making errors. Right. Here's our weapon. Weapon, weapon, weapon. Main view. Side view. Top view. Play. Yep, that looks like that, that looks like that, that looks like that. Hitting 1, 2, and 3. I don't know how this is going to look with the frame rate I've chosen for the videos. Probably bad. Alright, so that totally works. Now what we're going to do is make that interpolate between positions. So we need a couple of things. We need to have some sort of speed for it to do it at. We'll need to store the start position. Okay, we don't need to store the start position, we can just have it move towards where we want to go at a certain speed, which is also fine. In fact, no, what I'm going to do, it's okay, if this was a mono behavior I could do something that I want to do, but since it's not, I can't. What Unity has that I've used for things that it may not be typically used for is the animation, well, let's just search for it this way, animation curve. Animation curves are pretty cool for doing stuff that you wouldn't normally consider it for. So I may not use it in the end for this, but what is cool is sorry, if I interpolate, or if I slept and interpolated and stuff from this position over to this position, and I want to go, it's doing. I mean, it'll go straight to it. I also might do a rounded thing at some point. What the curve allows me to do is and I can do this in code as well in a number of ways. But I can, with the curve, is a data-driven way, which is what I like. Instead of just being a linear, same speed the entire way, I can add a curve. I could add a public curve to the camera manager. In the inspector, I'd be able to see that curve and modify it. What I could then do is, as I interpolate, I run my T through the evaluate, and it will return sort of a new T to use in my lerp function. So if I had a curve that was not linear, but had I believe it's a sort of an S sort of shape, would probably be what you'd sort of want for having it go slow and then picking up speed, then slowing down at the end, sort of easing in and out. That way it would just work, and it's a data-driven way, and I can just, if I want that to be a bit faster at the end, I could just tweak a curve rather than doing anything funky in code with some sort of acceleration, deceleration stuff. Just talking about it makes me want to do it. What I might do instead of making the camera manager a mono behavior is instead have a mono behavior singleton that contains information that other classes can utilize. Let's not worry about it right now. Let's just get the initial stuff working. I can still make this a mono behavior, bear in mind, and have these still be static. There's no issue with that whatsoever. Just saying that makes me want to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah, I can't then access the non-public variables from the static method without using the singleton. No. Right, for now, we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to make things happen in cool ways. Not as cool as it could be. Alright. Set camera transform. We're going to lerp camera transform. Okay, desired transform. Yeah, okay, let's just do it because we need some sort of update. We need this to be a mono behavior. Let's just stop wasting our time. Wasting your time, wasting my time. Nobody likes their time wasted. I'm going to make a singleton. So let's put a region up here for the singleton related setup. Alright, so when I make a singleton in Unity, static private camera manager, doesn't really matter what name you give this sort of stuff, but underscore singleton is what I generally use just because. Instance is the name of the method I typically use for getting the singleton. I'm going to make it a property. Okay, so get. Now, the way a singleton works is you have this static variable here, which has camera manager. Initialize that to null, and this is also a static instance. So I'm calling the static property here, which checks if the static variable is null. If it is, I'm going to set it to the instance of the camera manager. Now in Unity obviously it's going to be a mono behavior, it actually already exists. You know, if I was writing this in some other engine or language or something, you'd create the instance in this situation, then subsequently you'd return it. So what I want to do here is find object of type of camera manager, and that's basically it. So it'll find the camera manager in the scene, set it to singleton, return it. If there's none in the scene, it'll be null, it'll return null. If I don't handle that somewhere else, I'll get a null reference. But I never want there to not be a camera manager, so that's okay. I'll see that null reference and I'll say, shit, no camera manager, but I've got to solve that. So I can collapse that little singleton region there now, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. My scripts now, like these ones, instead of saying camera manager.set camera transform, which still is fine, they can do that. And I'll probably just leave these static methods here. I'm going to make this non-static. Let's I might clean this up later now that I've changed it to be a mono behavior. I'm going to have some conflicting sort of stuff here, static and not static and mono behavior stuff. I'll probably put some regions around it later on because it will be a commonly used class. For now, public void lerp camera transform. So we're going to need some variables in here. We're going to need private. And I'm going to say these should be fine as is. I might just pop some stuff around now. Actually, just get them out of the way. Static field slash properties. So private Yeah. All right. Region private fields and region public fields. It's just a nicer way of just keeping things, common elements together. Okay, so private transform desired transform is null, and we're going to have some information here about speed at which it should travel. Float speed. Now I do stuff in meters per second, I know that. I'm going to put in here okay, so sometimes I do the C++ background, that's not normal how I write comments, but C#, 3 slashes, all of a sudden you have some comments formatted for, you know, the IntelliSense stuff, or you know, probably also sort of doxygen sort of situations, which is, you know, generating documentation based on code comments. So the speed for the camera to travel in meters per second. Okay, 3 meters per second. Interesting. Alright, so we can actually do what I was talking about before. So this will be, if you didn't understand what I was on about before about the animation curve, I'm going to demonstrate it. So camera motion curve equals new animation curve. Oh, animation curve. What do they got? Ease in and out. That sounds like exactly what I want. So I might not even modify that. Animation curve to modify speed of camera during interpolation. So what I'm going to do, the speed is not going to be the constant speed of the camera. I'm going to determine instead well, I'll start writing it now actually. So this is the transform, position and rotation that the camera is desired to be at. Right, that's a way of writing it that is somewhat sense making. So lerp camera transform, I'm going to set, I've named the variables, the variable and the parameter here the same, so to differentiate I'll use this dot, which will, so that then is related to this, and this is this. So using this dot is a way, if you have the parameter here, or argument parameter, whatever you want to call it, the same as a class's field name. Just do that. Okay, update. So this can be, let's make a region here for mono behavior methods. Mention that I'm Australian, so if I spell things with more U's than you're used to, then that's why. Don't know if my accent gives it away or not. I have no idea if anyone can even understand what the hell I'm saying, whether they're Australian or not. Update. So update, as we know, runs once per frame. You also have late update, fixed update for physics stuff. Late update, which runs once per frame after all the updates have run. Camera stuff, actually I'm going to use late update. if you're having a camera follow something, for example, and that thing moves during the frame, then you want the camera to sort of, well, you don't always, but I will typically, probably in what I'm doing now, want the camera to really, its position, its desired position, its movement to relate to the current position of that object for this frame, not its position in the previous frame, which could happen if I use update and the camera script runs before whatever's moving that object runs. Since Unity 3.4 or 4.1 or 4.2 or something, we have the script execution order menu, which is great. It allows us to set which order scripts execute in, essentially, which is really handy, because just having update and late update isn't enough sometimes. Sometimes you need to be able to say, I need this thing. If you have networking code, custom networking code, for example, and you're saying, it's really important that this runs before the networking and this runs after the networking. But in this case, there's examples, countless examples. You'll come across it if you're developing anything complex. Of I need this thing to run before that thing. Script execution order is great. Update, late update can work too, but is obviously more limiting. Script execution order it also limits you as well. It's just one extra little thing which can be very handy. Right, ramble. Okay, so late update. What I want to know is the position and rotation of my camera there or not. Is that what I want to know? No, because I'm going to be lerping. I'm going to be lerping and I'm using this thing. I'm going to know if it's traveling or if it's there. The problem with this is that if the object is moving that I'm lerping to, it's going to move. If it's moving away from me, the camera's going to pick up speed to catch up to it. Okay, that's okay. Let's just do it one way, and we can evolve it later on. Alright, so private fields, desired transform, blah. Okay, so I'm going to make a private float for the I'm going to call it T multiplier. I'll get to that in a moment. And interpolation time. Just a way of doing that. So interpolation time 0. T multiplier. Alright. So this is going to be determining a multiplication factor for the delta time, which I'm going to be adding to this. So let's just go on here. If interpolation time is less than 1, meaning we're on the way to our target, interpolation time plus equals time dot delta time times T multiplier. And I'll also just jump in here and do a mathf dot clamp 0, 1. So if it goes beyond 1, it'll clamp it to 1. So I don't even want it to go to 1. And then I'll do the interpolation part shortly. T multiplier equals. Now, so what I'm going to do is use the speed I've got here and the distance between our current position and the desired position to determine how fast to interpolate. The thing I've also got to take into account is position and rotation are the two things I'm interpolating independently of each other. There might be a case where I'm moving 10 kilometers and rotating a very small amount. I've got to figure out whether I want to interpolate them separately with their own time, so that the rotation happens at a certain number of degrees per second, and if it's if I'm moving 5 meters and rotating 180 degrees, I don't want to zip the camera around really fast. Just rotate it 180 degrees really quickly, because it's only moving 5 meters. But the difference there, I mean, that sounds like a good idea to separate them, except if you think about how it's going to look, I don't think it'll look very good, because you get this you get this weird thing where it moves into position and then keeps rotating. It would feel disconnected. I think what you want is a smooth movement where the whole thing is connected. When the camera settles its position, you want the rotation to have settled as well. You want them both to finish at the same time. I don't think it would look good if it moved in position and then kept rotating. I think that would feel wrong. I don't know if that's very... I think the reason for that is it's probably uncommon. I think most games would probably do it so that they both finish at the same time, and that's what we're used to. And also movies, obviously that's probably the most common place you see camera movement. I don't think it'd be very common for, if you're doing sort of this sweeping movement like we're going to be doing, for it to not end perfectly. If you're panning a camera around something, then you're doing it such that the position you end up at and the you're looking at a thing. That's also something else I can think about. I'm not setting this up. That would be a bit different. Where if I wanted to say, look at this thing and move to this position, they would obviously always be looking at that thing and would always end up with the right rotation. That's not what I'm doing. I'm moving it to a set transform. The look at might be something I want to do as well, and I'll figure that out afterwards. I'm only thinking that because if I start shooting boulders and the boulders rotate and I have an attach point for a camera or a perspective transform for the camera attached to that boulder that's rotating, so too will and the rigid body will be on the parent. The camera point will also rotate, and that's not going to work because it's going to rotate around the boulder. And I'm getting ahead of myself, and I don't want to do that too much. We'll get to these things when we get to them. Okay, lerp camera transform. So T multiplier. So just quickly back to what I was saying before. Moving 5 meters, rotating 180 degrees. What I'll probably make it do is I'll have also in here a speed. So this is going to be, let's make this right now. Let's actually change it to movement speed. And what I did there was use Visual Studio's rename functionality. So if I had used the speed variable anywhere and renamed this variable, click that button, it would then be really nice for me and really nice to me, and go through and rename that variable wherever it was used. So what I might do is have a degrees per second for rotation speed, and then use the max between those two, figure out which one's going to take the longest, and use that instead. So the rotation can look fairly smooth, not fast, and the movement will be slow accordingly. So we'll probably do that a bit later on. For now, let's just stick with one of these. Okay, T multiplier. Finally, I'm going to explain what this is. So movement speed divided by, let's get the distance. Distance between current and, this is the longest variable name ever, if I'm sticking with it. No, I'm not. It's stupid. Okay, distance to desired transform equals Unity have vector 3 distance. Okay, and more optimizations are possible here, and I might do them later and talk about them later, but for now, distance. Everyone who knows what I'm talking about probably knows what I'm talking about. That. But I'll then not need to change other stuff. But I might do that later anyway. Distance. Okay, so our current camera position. So let's actually use our slick little... Can I reference a static variable? I think I can. Static variable method from non-static. Yeah, probably. Distance between these 2 points. Desired transform. That's the position. Okay. So this will give me the distance between our current position and the desired position. I'm going to chuck in here. Let's leave that there, but private. We need to store these vector 3. So interpolation start position equals vector 3.0, just initialize it to something. Interpolation start rotation as a quaternion ID identity puts. Okay, movement speed by alright, let's bring up. Okay, so if we were moving 10 meters at 5 meters per second, it would take 2 seconds to get there. Meaning, done these around the wrong way. Is that right? So, sorry again. If our movement speed is 5 and we're moving 10 meters, it's going to take 2 seconds, which means we want to multiply delta time by 2. Right? So, by having this t multiplier, we have a multiplication instead of this divide again. Where the further optimization would come in is in changing this to a squared magnitude, but and I'll then need to do sort of a square root of movement speed and store it in a private variable, perform it in a wake. The only issue I have with that, and it also applies to this to some extent, but to a lesser extent. Let me explain. Typically in Unity with public variables, it's good, it's fun to go in there and modify them at runtime and change things. So what this is doing here, if I was using movement speed in here and that sort of thing, I'd be able to modify movement speed and as it's interpolating, change how fast it's going. Because I'm caching it, what happens is I can't change it. I can't change it until next time I start lerping somewhere else. If I've changed movement speed, then the t multiplier speed will change accordingly. If I was to do the squared movement speed and store that in a private variable, unless I was monitoring in the editor whether I've changed my public variable movement speed and I recalculate the private variable, this private squared one accordingly, I would never be able to update it at runtime. One divide when I'm just calling the lerp, it's not a big deal. Okay, so if you can follow that, great. If not, I apologize. I ramble and probably don't spend enough time explaining everything I'm talking about. Interpolation time plus equals clamped. That's good. Now we get to use our cool animation curve. Alright, we want to position the camera. The camera, main camera dot transform. This is actually a situation here where we have the ability to. Okay, and also, I was going to say that I could go into a wake and I could set these variables and know that they're set. But if I load a new level and the camera doesn't exist anymore, I would rather use a property so that it goes, that doesn't exist, find the new one. But I could also, that being said, use a on level was loaded method in the mono behavior and then find the current one again. But again, I could delete it at runtime, or while the level is loaded. This is just a bit safer, I guess. Okay, position equals vector3.lerp. So let's just do, well, we can do position orientation, I suppose. So start, interpolation start, start position to desired transformed position. And we're going to do interpolation time. And we're going to pass it through our curve. Evaluate that. And while we're here, we'll get to do the aforementioned slurpage to and desired rotation. Okay, so this will only run while interpolation time is less than 1, so that's all good. Let's go back to the code for a sec, grab that, go to weapon, slap this in here, go to here, cannot convert method group ease in and out to non-delegate type animation curve. Right, that is a method. How unfortunate. Returns an animation curve though. No, make a new animation curve. Okay, we're going to use the singleton. And we'll now need to add this. Alright, what I've done here is make a new game object called managers. I'm going to center it. I put an underscore at the start. That way it rises to the top of my hierarchy. Drop in the camera manager, movement speed 5, and our motion curve. It's got nothing in it at the moment. Let's jump into the code for a minute and let's handle that case. In awake, if motion curve, camera motion curve dot what's length? Is length the number of keys in the curve? Yep. If length is less than 2, camera motion curve equals animation curve dot ease in out start time 0, value start 0, time end 1, value end 1. So I'm going to leave this unset up and see if that sets it up as I expect it should. Alright, that is right on. Alright, so you can see there our ease in out curve is set up. I also could have just gone here and clicked that. Haven't. We have a null reference exception, so let's investigate where that is. Alright, it could be in a number of places. We are pretty certain our camera motion curve is fine. Desired transform is null. I can all but guarantee that. So let's jump out of there. Okay, desired transform. By default, we'll make that equal main camera transform. That's a bit strange, but that'll be fine. No, it won't. If desired transform, and okay, I said before I put equals null, but let's just not bother. That's cool. It doesn't. I don't. Yeah, something like that. That's cool. All right. Okay. Talk myself out of it. Right. 2. Whoa. I'm really unimpressed with the lack of lerpage. Let's see what we've done wrong. Lerp camera transform desired transform. This desired transform equals desired transform. Interpolation time equals 0. Yep. T multiplier is probably our issue. So what have we done wrong? Interpolation time plus equals time delta time times T multiplier. Distance to desired transform divided by movement speed. Let's just check if that calculation was right. So say it's going 500 meters of 100. T multiplier 100. 5 meters per second takes 100 seconds. That is wrong. It was right the first time, or I want to do a 1 over. 5 divided by 500, 0.01. That seems more appropriate. Why did I not trust my initial instincts? That is the calculation I want. 5 over 10.5. Yeah. Okay. So that's right. That's better. That probably won't still necessarily fix our issue. Whoa. That looks like it could be 5 meters a second, doesn't it? Man, that's really slow. Alright, so we're dealing in very large areas here. What did we determine? That was 20 meters. Alright, let's crank it. Let's crank it up to 100 and see how fast that goes. 3. Still fairly slow. That's gone from 0 instead of where it was supposed to come from because we didn't set these. Main camera transform dot position. Oh, and the rotation. Right. Alright, you can see how it started off slow, picked up speed, and then slows down. That is exactly what I wanted. We're still a bit slow, obviously. I should be able to go stop halfway and go somewhere else. That should all work fine. No. Yeah, see, it's kind of a... The camera motion curve, I think, is a really sort of slick way to do some stuff like this because it's, again, you know, data driven. I can do some silly stuff with it. I can make it go really set up a new one. Add all sorts of stuff. So I can make it go super awesome like that. Super slow at the end, but really fast to start with. Super keen, then it starts getting a little bit scared of where it's going. That easy and out, though, is, you know, what we're going to want to use. That's running like a dog there. Why was that? I'm going to quickly open the profiler and make sure nothing too crazy is going on. Stats 100 frames per second seems, well, I am recording, so I don't know what that does to our frame rate, but what's happening here? Seems like is that VSync. Wait for target FPS, camera render. That is totally VSync. I think probably VSync isn't working too well, maybe with the recording going. I'll turn off VSync for now and see what the result is. Okay, no VSync. We did that while playing. Anyone who's used Unity before will know that changing stuff while playing doesn't persist it once you stop. Some asset stuff is not. That's not truthful. You know. Material changes and things like that. Alright, now it's running at 1,000 odd frames per second, which is much better. Alright, let's increase that speed. In our managers, camera manager, 250. So that will be, yeah, I think it's going to need to be probably even faster than that. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty slow. That seems pretty slow. Yeah, let's go heaps faster. Yeah, we just don't want to waste much time, you know. You want to, it's a quick game's a good game, you know what I mean? So we just don't want to deal with a slow camera. That seems really nice. It's still got the nice easy in and out curve, but it's just quick, it's zippy. You can get to where you want to go fast. I like that. I mean, that could work for, you know, the end product for all I care. That's, well, when I say that, I do actually care quite a lot about the end product. I want this to be a really nice polished game, but that seems like a nice polished camera move. So quite easy to do, data driven camera motion curve. That's cool. Alright, let's start introducing more weapons. So let's make this a prefab. We get our resources, game prefabs, weapons. Alright, catapult, I'll drop that into here, drop it back out, zero it out, apply that, save project, delete. I say project there just a force of habit, working in a team. If you apply change to a prefab and don't save the project, it doesn't actually save the prefab file until you do. Same with things like material changes. So if I was to, typically I'd change a prefab, apply, save it, and then check it into source control. So I might just do things that seem a little bit crazy or odd, just out of habit. Okay, so my catapult is there, and it's really, really ridiculously good looking. 270-degree rotation for that one. Chuck another one over here. We're really going to bombard that super slick round cube fortress. Another one here with 90 degrees. Okay. We now need a way of shifting from one weapon to another. So I feel we need another manager, some sort of level manager, perhaps game manager. Let's have a quick think about it. So a level manager implies that it's more to do with the elements of the level, whereas a game manager more to do with the elements of the game as a whole, the gameplay elements. Maybe not necessarily the elements of every scene. If scene is a menu scene, maybe the game manager wouldn't be involved as much. I could have both. I could have a level manager or a level script, just called, no, not a manager, it's a level script that stores data about the level, stores which weapons are in it, stores the platform, stores details about just objects within the scene, whereas the game manager could store more things about the score or I'm stuck at score. That's pretty much all I can think of right now. Alright, so I'm going to make a script called level. Let's do that. General object refill weapons. Okay, let's make a folder there. Right. Okay, make the level script. Now, I do actually have. Actually, this might be interesting. Let me over here. I think I actually did this previously, and I'm now just realizing that it doesn't seem to have worked. Okay, so sorry about that. Put this window into here now. And you can see new behavior script.cs. And I have modified. Yeah, okay, so let's bring it in. Yeah, right, so here we go. Oop, that didn't work. I'm pretty sure that's the shortcut though. Apparently not. What? Okay, we'll figure that out later. So this is strange. I believe this is how it works. Script templates. What is this? This must be what they actually. This is what they're using. Okay. I think previously this is what was being used. But now it seems like this is the go. Drag that in. That looks familiar. Yeah. Okay. We can sort this out. I'm going to duplicate this script, back it up. And in here I'm going to grab this, drop it there, grab that, drop it there. Alright, they've had to change it. Well, I presume they've changed it because of this variable, perhaps. This here gets assigned based on the script name. I'm not sure if they used to do that back when modifying this was all you need to do. I haven't done it for a bunch of versions for Unity, so I'm not positive. So let's close that level script and let's delete it, and we'll make a new one. Beautiful. Alright. No more. Still, that shortcut is so not working. Let me just check. Shortcut I'm trying to do is to expand all of these. I thought it was Control ML. I must be mistaken. Where does it live? Outlining. Toggle all outlining. Collapse the definitions. I think maybe if I had something in there. Let's see. Public float thing equals 0f. Control MO. Wow. Control MO. No. No. Control M. Oh, okay. No. Wow. Wow. I'll stop saying wow. That's weird. Outlining. Control M. Control L. Collapse the definitions. Control M. Control A. Yeah, I'm just not. Maybe make. Oh, I've not had an issue with that before. Maybe it's just something to do with the lack of there being a method in here or something, or no, I'm not sure. Maybe for some reason my shortcuts aren't something. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Not a huge deal. Level. Regions, I'm not sure about indenting of those. Sometimes, you know, I think it typically auto indents them back all the way to sort of left aligned position. But in this other script, I'm gonna go with the that level of indentation. No, thank you. Why would it do that to me? That's just rude. Alright, I'm gonna go with that. So level, we want to have a weapon array. And we want, let's just chuck in a way for now to, wow, slow down my typing I think a bit. It's not really working out for me too well while I think about what to say next. Obviously that was a lie. I'm not thinking about what to say. If I was, I would be talking you know, making sense instead of just rambling. So the right arrow key. If I hit the right arrow key, when it comes up, what I want to happen is select the next weapon on the right. So this is going to mean for now, since I have an array, I'm just going to need to make sure I order them in a ordered fashion. So that'll mean hitting left will be to the left of the weapon, current weapon. To the right will be to the right of the current weapon, looking down the weapon's positive Z-axis. So I'm going to make sure. So how I'm going to order them? I'm going to order them in a sort of clockwise fashion, perhaps. So that'll be to the left, so it'll go in the order of left. So if I choose the right, then I'll go backwards through the array. That sounds like a plan. Let's do that. Okay, I want the weapon script to do its own dirty work. It already does. Let's make methods for each of these. So public void select weapon. Yeah, let's have it automatically go to this main view when you select the weapon, even if you're in the side or top view already in another weapon. I might change that later on, but that's how I'll do it for now. So select weapon, bam. That's what I'll do for now. Actually, I'll make another method for that. I'm going to make methods for the other ones. So set camera to main view. Yep. Wow. Okay. Yep. Cool. Let's make that game manager while we're here too, and make the game manager. that's kind of one of the other annoying things. I think it's since, I don't know if it's always been there, or it's more of an issue now if you change multiple things in, because Unity breaks up these things into first pass for both editor, potentially depending on which sort of editor scripts you have. I think if you have things in the plugins directory, for example, you end up with 4 different little projects in here which all need to be reload. That can be frustrating every time you add a script. Okay, so game manager, we're going to store the let's set up as a singleton. So we'll jump in here and just steal our singleton code. Okay, I need to jump into that new behavior script, change the indentation on these, save that, copy those, close that, jump in here, do that one, do that. Ooh, that's actually a good idea. Let's quickly change the shader one as well. This is one of my regrets for the current version of the advanced surface shaders. And just speaking quickly about my asset store stuff, advanced surface shaders and mesh particle renderer. Totally committed to them. If anyone has any suggestions and stuff, I don't check the forums as much as I'd like. So there might be people might have issues with them or something that I haven't picked up on. I'm 100% sure I chose to subscribe to those threads, but I don't think it worked. Please, if you have any issues, email me. I'll get on to fixing things, updating things, improving things if required. I just don't always have the time to. Well, it's not necessarily true. I don't have the time, I guess, if I choose to devote it to that. I don't choose to devote my time to them if I don't get suggestions on improvements. Yeah, I don't release anything that's not good. I'm very happy with my shader pack and the advanced the mesh particle renderer. Obviously 3.5 has a mesh particle renderer system for the Shuriken particle system. I believe it's slower than mine because I have a multi-threaded option, which I spend a fair bit of time optimizing. I'm not positive it's slower. Don't take my word for that. On that, I just had a quick look at the Shuriken stuff and it didn't seem to be that super fast. But my multi-threaded option has some downsides. If you move the emitter around in the multi-threaded one, then it will update slowly, sort of as it follows the emitter. So you need to use a single-threaded option. Still very optimized, both of them. I think they're pretty good scripts. So check them out. I'm pretty happy with both of those packages. I do have more packages I want to release, which I'll get to shortly. And I've got some pretty cool stuff I've made. I just got to sort of prepare it for public consumption, and put those on there. So Asset Store is really cool, by the way. I'm really happy with it for the amount of time for compared to my iPhone stuff. iPhone games haven't spent a ton of time on them, but haven't really spent a lot of time marketing them or anything like that. Made a bit of money off some of them, mainly one of them, 3D Maze, which took a few days to make. But compared to the Asset Store stuff, which it doesn't take a lot of time to make. Sort of, I like to build a good core stuff. The shader package, I made quite a few shaders and pretty, I think, nice looking stuff that I spent a fair bit of time optimizing. And the particle renderer stuff, the mesh particle renderers, I spent a lot of time optimizing that. But for the amount of time spent on that, for the amount of money I've made, which is not tons, and I'm not advertising now. I'm not trying to, and I don't spend a lot of time advertising that stuff. It's better than the iPhone stuff so far. Obviously, if you have a hit on the iPhone or some other market, then that's the go. But Unity Asset Store is really good if you're looking for if you're looking to develop some. If you've got something good in Unity you've made and you want to possibly make some money off it, and I really do strongly suggest going that route. Okay, so I've copied my singleton in here. Sorry for the ramble. I'm gonna be doing that a lot through this series. Just try to zone out if you're not interested. I apologise in advance. And give me feedback. These videos are obviously not yet online, so until I start getting the feedback saying shut the hell up and talk about what you're doing, focus, focus, focus. I might just keep doing what I'm doing, and it will be frustrating, but I really will listen to the feedback if there are people watching, and I will adjust accordingly. And if you don't enjoy an aspect of the videos, let me know. I want to please as many people as possible. So the videos will get better. I'm quite certain. And as the game evolves and improves and gets further along, I think it'll get more interesting too, and you'll start seeing more and more cool stuff. Obviously, at this point, it was very, very basic. I've got this nice looking stuff in here. I'm glad I've got this asset, because if I didn't have this, it would probably be even more boring. I reckon this looks. I just want to do this. I just want to spin around. But at least we've got something to look at, and that's cool. And as we get more assets and have little dudes running around, we look at maybe making them have some interesting AI. Yeah, not a big playing field, but having them interact with each other, interact with the vehicle, interact with the camera and the player. I really want to do some cool, cute, funny stuff with these guys. I want this to be a funny game, and I'm really looking forward to getting to that aspect of it. So let's jump back into the game manager. The game manager is going to store which weapon is selected. So public selected weapon. I'm just going to leave it as a standard public variable. And got my instance. That's all good. No, I'm just all over the shop today. Let's make it private. Reason for that being, now I don't have anything in here for properties. Properties. Okay. That. Copy. Again, open up our script template. Nope. Haven't yet updated the other one, and I know I'm not going to, so hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the ass. Alright, properties. Okay, I wanted to make this a property because I might want to do things when the selected weapon changes. So get turn selected weapon. For now, set, we'll just do the basic selected weapon equals value. So if we jump to the weapon, we're going to say select weapon. Game manager, and I might want the game manager also to do this, to call this. The game manager might be the thing that ends up determining what the camera is doing, rather than the weapon saying, "Hey camera, check me out." And these things will evolve as I keep saying. I'm just developing stuff so it works for now, and if I feel the need to change things, I'll change things. I haven't got some massive technical design document. I don't think that would be interesting from the video perspective if I went through and just figured out every class and made some big design and did some UML diagrams or something. I don't think that'd be as interesting. Here's what I'm going to make. Watch me make it. Boring. Instead, let's design as we go. Let's same thing I said. I'm not going to repeat myself for the thousandth time. Selected weapon equals this. Just going to write some code for a bit. I'm going to try to. I'll talk as I go, but I'm going to try and get this stuff done. Select camera. Cool. Make the other two camera views methods. Okay. Select weapon equals this. That's cool. 1, 2, 3. Going to back to the level. Right arrow. Okay. So public int selected weapon index 0. Do some error handling. If selected weapon index is less than 0, doesn't equal 0. Selected weapon index is greater than weapons dot length greater than or equal to selected weapons index equals weapons dot length minus 1. Selected weapon index minus minus. If selected weapons index is less than 0, wrap it around, and weapons select weapon index dot select weapon. Put the left arrow key plus plus if you go beyond the range of the array, wrap back around to 0, select weapon. Okay. Let's make some methods for this. Public void select next weapon. My design of these classes might not be quite right either as I think about it in terms of the game manager doing some stuff here with the selected weapon. This has selected weapon index, doesn't really make too much sense. It would probably make more sense if the game manager was doing this stuff and just referencing the level's data. Yeah, let's swap that around. Take these out. Okay, so we want to store the level. Similar to the reasons I talked about before in terms of null reference stuff, changing levels, we're going to do an if current level is equal to null. If current level is equal to null, then we want to get the current level. Similar to, I've got this up as a singleton. I could set this as a singleton and get the level instance. Don't need to though, I'll just do it this way, I think. Level, find object of type of level. Whoop. Turn current level. Select weapon index. There. Weapon, selected weapon. I don't necessarily need that because I might as well leave it. Okay, so select next weapon. So let's do it this way. Select previous weapon. Drop that in there. Grab that. Drop that. Grab that. Okay. Select the previous weapon. Let's rename these two. Jeez, I'm all over the shop today. Okay. Could have used the rename functionality, but I don't need it. There's only a couple of one-on-one reference to that method. Okay, select the weapon to the right of the currently to the camera's right currently selected weapon, and that's the camera's right in the typical camera states. There might be some cutscene stuff where it whips around, but we shouldn't be doing that in gameplay, I don't think. I think I know what I mean here. Okay, that's all good. And if weapons. Error handling's a good idea. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm going to chuck something in here just so I know if I've messed up. Weapons dot weapons dot length is equal to 0. Debug dot log error log warning. Might be some cases we don't care. Level does not contain any weapons. Full component name probably doesn't really fit here. I just want to know the name of that particular one. It's going to always be a root object, I believe. Okay, now we're going to do a else for yeah, for each will do. I don't usually use for eaches. I prefer just using the typical for loop, but this will be fine in this case. Weapon, and weapons. Debug.log. No, I'm going to change my mind and totally not do that. Typical for loop. 0 I is less than weapons.length I plus plus. Okay, weapon is null in uu dot component full name this start null in at index, and we'll just drop in I there. So this will tell us if any of the, well, we actually do the check. Weapons I is equal to null. Alright, so I'll just do a null reference check on all the weapons in the array. So if the array is not null, I can go through it and just check if any of them are null. That should be a error. Alright, that's cool. Game manager, back to here. Right, left, back to front. Super cool. Again, I'm gonna stop saying things like that. Select weapon equals this. I'm already doing that. I don't necessarily need to set. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I mean, I probably should just take that out. Yeah. Let's do it in here instead. Yeah, let's do a select weapon method. Weapon. Select weapon equals weapon. Select weapon. Weapon. Copy weapon. Instead of doing that, say select weapon. That. And same again here. Okay. And when we select weapon, it's going to tell the camera to do its thing. That should be fine for now. Alright. Always with the random errors, I put colons in instead of semicolons. Every semicolon except for those two. And the old forgetting the plus. Whole bunch of errors because we've copied weapons, but weapons is not a thing anymore. We need to do current level dot instance. I could also make I don't need instance. What am I doing? Alright. Current level. Current level. Okay. More of that. Select weapon. Okay. Jump back into here. Let's make a level. Let's call this level. Right, we call the scene level 1. Let's call this object level 1. Center it. Let's parent everything except for itself. Manages. Yeah, main camera. Let's leave that out too. Alright, that sounds good. Okay, weapons is going to contain these catapults. Okay, level needs a level script. Managers needs the game manager script. I just while I think of it, game manager awake. Let's put in on start to see selected weapon. Let's do it on the level start. Okay, we're already doing this stuff up here. I need, and this shouldn't happen. It should all be all good. I've put a warning here because I'm considering maybe if there's no weapons on a level, it might be all right. But let's just so let's just do this. If weapon length is not equal 0, game manager dot instance dot select weapon weapons by 0. Yeah. Select weapon index 0. Method on here. Void select weapon index int index weapon index. Index equals weapon index, and that. Okay, back in here again. A level weapons array. It's 4 weapons on this level. Alright, which one is going to be our first? Which one is the camera currently? This one, doesn't it? Alright, so that one. And I was going to do left being positive, right? Alright, so it's going to go that one, then that one, then that one, that one. So let's name them. Left weapon, catapult 1, catapult 2, catapult 3, catapult 4. Now there is a way of doing this. Lock it, select. I don't know if there's a way of doing it in a certain order. Yeah, as you see, that's just done in some random order. It'd be really nice if that didn't happen. There might be a way of doing it. Again, I want to learn things I don't know. If you know a way of in Unity of doing that, let me know. That'd be sweet. Post in the comments. Right. Right. Left. Okay, that super works. Pretty excited by my mad skills. that didn't select what I okay. That's no good. Let's see what I've done wrong. Catapult 1. Main view, side view, top view. Main view, side view, top view. Catapult. Catapult. Let's go catapult 3. Top view. That's right. Side view. That's right. Main view. Ah, but the references are also right. Let's run that again. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's not good, is it? So our selected, hitting that, it's doing that. Why is that? That. Ah, okay. I need to do if, well, no. Let's take this out of here. Instead do it in the game manager with this stuff. The selected weapon dot selected weapon dot set camera to main view. That was pretty stupid. I want that to be the side view and that to be the top view. I think that's the order in which you would be doing the aiming. You'd go to the top view. If I just do that again. No, I think I must have stuffed these up. Side view, top view, top view. Side view, top view. 1, 2, 3. I hit the 2 button, it goes to the side view. 3 button, it goes to the top view. 1, it goes to main view. Game manager. 1, 2, 3. Main, top, side. Huh? Let's figure this out. Top and side. Right, but very much wrong. Okay, obviously the problem is not transforms, problem is in I can change this globally for them all, thankfully, through the power of prefabs. I have simply set up my references incorrectly. Side to side, top to top, apply, delete, save project. Good for the shortcut for save project Unity, guys. Unity people, make that happen. You've been told. Please. Okay, see, this isn't really ideal. I was talking earlier about mentioning sort of maybe making it do a circular sort of movement. So yeah, it sort of just goes straight to it. It sort of doesn't look too bad because of the camera rotation stuff as well. And you sort of get like, oh, we're moving in, no we're not. Moving in, no we're not. Probably not really ideal. And as you do, you know, if I go from one to the next, it does that. Would I prefer instead that it goes? Almost tried to use my hand to indicate what I meant. You know, is it better to go like that? Yeah, that's much better. That's a better option. That's what I'm going to have to do when I yeah, finalize how this camera movement works, swapping between cameras. Yeah, alright. For now, that's alright. Top, side, swap, swap, swap. Yeah, cool. Alright. We're over the 2-hour mark now. Actually, our clouds are moving, aren't they? I forgot about that. Look at that. Super slow. Super good. Super cloud. Unity's really starting to look better graphically. And this doesn't. What we're seeing here probably could have been achieved in much earlier versions of Unity as well. But the linear lighting, I think, is really helping it. And you see the shadows on those clouds. You get the. I'm getting this sort of weird banding thing here, which we can fix that by again tweaking the shadow settings. I'm sure softness is going to do anything about that, but the bias, no. Softness fade, nah. The shadow distance stuff might help with that potentially. Let's just jump in here and see if we can see it up close. That's it's really quite alright. The geometry is probably also causing some issues, and that looks very wrong. But I mean, this is all very much placeholder stuff at the moment. Once we start getting finalized, that's in. It's time to start worrying about any graphical glitches, but that's all quite cool for now. Okay. And also one thing I'm thinking is just adding more moving stuff. The clouds in the background here you're seeing in this skybox, probably just get rid of all that. That's not really. It doesn't really suit the style. We'll be sticking with clouds like this, I think, or whatever Shane comes up with. And I think having subtle sort of shadows moving over the terrain of like clouds in the sky. Just the more motion in the scene, the better, I think. Even if it's really subtle, really slow motion, like slow moving clouds, you notice it. It doesn't look like a still image. It doesn't look like boring stuff. I'm going to have moving characters and stuff throughout as well, and probably have this rainbow, probably the leprechaun rainbow. But just the more moving stuff, the better. Just keep everything sort of moving. Okay, so that's the camera movement working. I reckon we get on to weapons, shooting stuff, making stuff explode, Michael Bay style, or not, but just something gameplay wise. Okay, so the weapons are going to need a way of aiming from the top down. So I'm going to chuck in a placeholder thing. Where is my catapult? Let's move him out here for now to work with him. Distance is going to be probably variable throughout the levels. What I'm going to do is create for now some sort of placeholder aiming visual aid. Should go into graphics actually. We'll call it a top aim. That's what they call me. No, they don't. No, they don't. Z10. Put it right at the tip. The tippity tip of our catapult. 2.5. And we're after a cube. Place the cube under top aim. Reset his position. Let's make him 10. No, that's not what we want. 5, 5, 5. 5. Yeah, let's make him 150. Look at our awesome aiming indicator. not long enough. I'm not going to say that's what she said. So. Okay. Let's go the full 200, why not? Let's go all the way. That looks like an aiming indicator. If you're a programmer making art. We need a new material for it. Just a transparent green thing, I think. No, I got green already. Let's just chuck in. We got blue as well. God, now I'm really confused. So many colors to choose from. Green. Green. Transparent. Translucent. I'm not concerned about that sort of argument. Green, green, green. Just green, please. Green, all the way. Alpha. Totally needs to be transparent. Transparent specular. Alpha on there. Chuck that on there. Wow, that's really impressive. Doesn't need to cast or receive shadows. It's not a real thing in the world, it's just an indicator. Alright, so because I've made it a child of this thing which has a pivot here, what I'll be able to do is rotate it around the Y like that to choose a direction for the catapult. In the final game, what we'll have, I'm sure, is the catapult itself doing some sort of rotation. And yeah, that's not a big deal. I could do that right now with this as well. But why not? That's my sentence. I'm going to stop it right there. Why not? Not going to justify the reason. Top aim transform. Aiming underscore graphics top. Why? Because of a couple of reasons. That was actually going to be a rhetorical question. I'm going to answer it because I'm probably being a little bit vague at the moment on what I'm doing. The aiming prefix and then an underscore. No real reason for it. Yeah, I don't really, probably shouldn't be explaining my own intricacy, sort of eccentric sort of programming things here. I mean, there's no real reason for it. My reasoning in my head is that I want two prefixes. I want aiming, because I want an aiming top and an aiming side, and I also want graphics, because I might want the graphics of this thing and also something else to do with it. Maybe not. This is not really the graphics, this is the transform for the graphics, but I know that based on the fact that the variable is a transform. I'm probably going to use these two for now and forever. So I'm just going to leave that variable name. I'm happy with it. Ecstatic, to be honest. Not really. What I need to do now is allow for rotation of the top aiming graphics thing I've just made. So when they hit a button, let's say we'll make it WASD or something, or A and D. For now, A and D will aim this thing left and right. It needs extents. I need to have maximum extents of the rotation of this thing, so let's figure those out now. Why would you ever want to shoot more than that direction? Let's say we make it, well, let's have a look at 20 degrees. Okay, 20 degrees. It's going to be our extent. 20 degrees either way. Hold down A, it'll move to 20 degrees. Hold down D, it'll move to 20 degrees. First time I was meant to say negative 20 degrees and I didn't. Said it now. So that will be the extent of this thing. Let's chuck that in. So public vector 2. So this way we can include the full extents, both extents. of the y rotation in one variable here in vector 2. The top aim y min max new vector 2. I'm going to initialize it to what I expect will be, expect the values to be. One thing I might just mention while I think of it as well about Unity would be kind of cool is, if I changed one of these, then changed it in the script, it wouldn't change here because it would be marked, it would be bold, it would be marked as prefab override in Unity. So when you change a variable in Unity, it basically marks it as prefab override. And what it says is, if you update the prefab, anything marked as prefab override remains how it's been set for that instance. It doesn't change to the new prefab value. That's cool. That's great. That means we can have, if you put a prefab in the scene, an instance of a prefab, and move it, the transform's position, I think they should do X, Y, and Z separately, get marked as prefab override. So if I move it on the x-axis, its x position gets marked as prefab override. That's great. It means we can have them in different positions. The issue I have with it, and you actually see here how the position is bold. The issue I have with it is I can't just change if I change this script and change the min max, and I'm like, I want to just set this back to the prefab. I don't want to be override anymore, but I want these to still be overridden or something like that. In this case they're not, but let's say they were. I want to just be able to get right click, thanks Unity. I'm confused. Has that been there for a long time? It probably has, hasn't it? That's great. I'm really hoping that's a 3.5 thing. I think I'm having internet issues right now. That way I can just pretend it's a 3.5 thing. Yeah, looking at it now, it looks familiar, but perhaps not. That could be a 3.5 thing if, say, well done. Rant complete. Successful, to be honest. That was a successful little rant. I don't feel like I was one-upped and embarrassed by the Unity team just then. I feel like they bent to my will and did what I asked in record time. Okay, so the extents are going to be placed in the weapon. That's done. Now we want to do the aiming. We'll do that in Game Manager. For now we're going to put all our sort of input stuff in Game Manager. So this is going to be a get key. You want it to be done while the key is held. Get key A. Where's the aim left for the moment? We're going to put in a speed degrees per second for it to rotate. Top aim. Aiming. Yeah, this was silly before. I think now that I want to add more of these, I'm going to do it like this. Yeah. Yeah, this is the stuff. Let's put all these together. Aiming top, rotate degrees per second. Big variable name. but whatever. So 20 degrees per second takes 1 second to go to from extent, or 2 seconds to go from extent to extent. Essentially, that's probably pretty fast. We'll find out. Yep, that's cool. So we're holding down A. We need to make a method in here for rotate top aim. Now, how do we want to do this? We want to make a method for rotate top aim left, rotate top aim right, or do we want to send through a variable indicating the direction, or do we want to send through a variable indicating the degrees? Put it this way for now. Okay, so float rotate amount equals degrees times time dot delta time rotate amount dot okay little ternary here, left. No, remember if left, so if it's right, no, if left, rotate amount times equals -1. So if we're going right, then we want to add this amount of degrees to the rotation. If it's left, we want to subtract it, so we're going to multiply this amount by -1 to turn that into a negative number. The transform, okay, here's private transform. This transform equals null. Caching is very good. This transform dot rotate. Don't necessarily need to worry about the space, because they're always going to be orientated the same way with, I believe they're always going to be orientated the same way with the y, local y being the same as the world of y, just pointing straight up. So let's what do I use here? I wonder if that's any faster than making a new vector 3. Let's find out. Rotate amount 0. Actually, I want to put the extents. I want to enforce the extents. So let's grab the new y Euler. Just grab the current Euler. It's probably the way to do it. We'll do it all in Euler angles. Euler angles. This transform dot Euler angles, or Euler is the actual pronunciation, I believe. If you want that in local, Euler angles y plus equals rotate amount. If Euler angles y is less than that one, y is equal to that one. That, and that. Can I set? I don't think I can actually set that. Let's rotation dot. It's probably the same thing. I just prefer to do it this way because that's what I'm used to. Never set Euler angles. Deprecated. Set Euler rotation. Deprecated. Deprecated, deprecated, deprecated. Okay. I don't want any of that either. Stick with what I'm used to, rather than explore the various methods Unity exposes. Get rid of these. Yep. Okay. Catapult. Where's my catapult? There she lives. Top aim drops into there. No, it doesn't. Top aim drops into there. Apply that. Delete it. Save project again. Everything's showing. We'll have to do something about that too. Okay. Do not believe that anything is happening. Have I actually set anything up? No, I have not. While we're here, let's do something in here. So aiming top graphics. So camera top view, main view, side view. All right. Let's cache some stuff here too for speed purposes. Okay, do I want to set the entire thing to inactive? Sure, why not? That'll work too. I don't think I see an issue in that. So top aiming graphics, set active recursively. Active set graphics dot game object dot set active recursively. False. Yep. Okay, so the A key we want to do selected weapon dot rotate top aim left is true, and if it is the D key, false. Let's make some methods for this stuff too. Hide. Enable. Now show top aim. Bool. Show. So by default, when the in the awake, we will hide the top aim. There'll be something similar probably for the side aim as well. So we need to do something for that later. Top aim, A. Wow, that's totally cool. So if it goes less than 0, snaps to the extent right, works. That snaps back to the extent. Let's check it out. See, I'm also conscious of the fact that I'm sure people will be watching me code and see the errors as I go and be yelling at their screen. I apologise for that. I mean, there's nothing much that can be done about that. I'm sure everyone in the same position would be doing the same sort of things. Well, maybe not everyone. Lucky people. They never make mistakes. But I promise that I will do my best to quickly rectify anything as soon as possible, so that the frustration you're feeling does not last too long. So, if Eulerangles.y is less than min-max x, Eulerangles equals min-max x. It's greater than y, set it to y. So it's being set to y, correct? Correct. Which means let's have a squiz, rotate amount, it's going left. Let's take this out, see what happens. Oh. Okay. So I'm holding down the A key. It's moving left. I can also move right. Right, it's moving left and doing that snap. Moving right stops it at the extent. So this is the one that's doing the snap. Okay. So the reason is that I'm going beyond 0, which wraps back around. So as I go less than 0, it's actually wrapping around to the 300 range. So it's going to 359 point whatever, which is greater than our max on the positive side. That's I didn't actually expect it to do that. Let's grab it. Top aim. Is this not catapult 1? Top aim? That's what we're rotating, is it not? I'm rotating the entire transform, not the top aim. Okay. So you can see catapult here, the Y angle is actually, I might just leave it rotating the entire thing. That's cool. You can see it's it's going, when it goes less than 0, it actually goes to its positive number. I was expecting it to go to a negative number. So because of this, if I instead stored the number that I want it to be, that might be the better option. Setting it to a negative is perfectly valid. So let's do that. Aiming top Y angle equals 0. Aiming top Y angle equals aiming top. Actually, I'm rotating this transform, so let's stick with that. Local U angles Y. Let's stick with again local rotation dot Euler Y. Just undo that quickly, keep that one, do this, and then angles at Y equals that. Oh. Rotate amount equals aiming top angle Y plus equals rotate amount to float to Y. Should we do that Y? Y. how I get back to where I want to be. A stops the extent. So it's still showing up here that range, but I've got my separate Y angle float. Another tip, if you don't know, you can go up in here, change this from normal to debug view of the inspector. It will actually show the private variables in your script. So I can see my aiming top Y angle is going to -20 and +20. So that's pretty handy too if you don't know that. Downsides are you don't get the render is dependent on the sort of the type-based renderers. So if you have an object field, it doesn't show the cool object field. If I had the animation, if I bring up the camera motion curve, you're going to debug. Oh, well, actually they do for that one. Custom inspectors, so some of these things won't show the the transform stuff, for example, doesn't show it in that vector 3 format here. It just shows it as the 3 floats. The reason for that actually is in this transform case, I believe, is because they have a custom inspector set up for this stuff to show it like that. I will probably add my transform custom inspector shortly. It's a good one. So I have a thing in there for setting the local rotation or world rotation, copy and paste, and that sort of thing. So if you have custom inspectors, they won't show in debug mode, which is a bit frustrating. But otherwise, it's really good for debugging. Hence the name of it. Okay, so we just saw that issue before, didn't we? We popped this up, and that's all setting all our so move it. Where's our scene view? Select this dude. Catapult 4 game. You can see it's setting his Y rotation to those values. My intention was for this to be set in a wake, aiming top Y angle plus equals rotate amount. Of course. Alright. Because I was expecting before that I was going to be rotating, I was originally going to rotate this child and not the object itself, it would have been fine. It was a local angle, would have been all good. Now I'm dealing with these catapults, and by setting their max extents to the Y stuff to -20 to 20, they're all going to only be allowed to look in the world's -20 to 20 because that's not going to work. So okay, I can either do one of two things. I can only rotate a child of the prefab object, definitely a possibility, or instead, perhaps preferably, I can still rotate the prefab and just deal with actually, let me think about this a little bit, because later on with little guys running around, do I or do I not want them to be, if the prefab itself is rotating left and right, it might impact sort of what my plans are for those guys. Not that I have any current plans, but if I did, it would impact them. Let's handle it for now. And we can figure out if we want to change it later. So I guess I can probably safely assume that my prefabs are going to start pointing. Yeah, okay, so that's if I have a quick look here, catapult 1, yeah, my Y angle is not exposed. Maybe if I'm just thinking about before I do something, I was trying to think about possible things I might do with the prefabs. So I was going to just say they're always going to be pointing directly forward at the start, and I can just assume that the extents can be based around their current direction. So I can just go. This is aiming. This one minus that, and that can be that, which I believe will fix the issue. Go to this one, top view. That's no, that's he's locked to that direction now. Where is this guy? 290, 270 plus 20, 290. Won't let me go left or right from there. Okay, because it's not now, it's all positive. It's pretty stupid what I've done. Yeah, okay, that's pretty stupid. Starting way, angle, view angles, y equals starting way, angle plus that. Alright, that's a much smarter way of doing it. Why is my camera? Of course it is. So now we're starting to see. Oh, straight up, yeah, straight away, we see an issue with rotating the entire prefab. We just want to rotate the graphics. So now the weapon needs to store a reference to the graphics. And you can see that my lack of commenting is now starting to catch up to me. I'm starting to get a little bit unreasonable in here. So I'll probably get to that shortly. Fine. Okay. So next thing, when we swap weapons, we want to turn off stuff like the aim. So we have a select weapon. Let's chuck in a deselect weapon. And yep, that's it. And in game view, let's only allow this if select a weapon dot. Do I have a mode, an aiming mode? I don't. Let's make one. Let's put in another region, enums. Enum public enum aiming mode, top. Maybe it's is it a game thing or is it a camera thing? We want to put it in the camera. Is it camera mode or? Perspective. Standard. We'll leave it here for now. Standard top side. And we need a public perspective. Perspective dot standard. Standard. Alright, this is probably where we want to start doing again some more. So I say public void set perspective. Desired perspective. I'll just use a switch. Okay. Set camera to top view, set camera to side view, and by default main view. Set perspective. Alright, so instead of doing all that stuff, we're going to do this. We're going to do perspective dot standard. Now, this is a much more code heavy episode. I'll probably have to wrap it up soon. I don't want it to drag on forever, but then again, maybe I do. Maybe it just will. Maybe it'll drag on until I'm finished, and by the time I release the videos I will also release the game. No, I don't have that much time on my hands, unfortunately. Okay, so if selected weapon, actually if perspective is equal to top, do this stuff. Alright. It's never used, but we'll probably get around to using it, so just settle down, Unity. Don't like warnings, so I'll just deal with that for now. Oh, you're such a Unity. Okay. Cool. I'm not calling deselect as of yet. Still can rotate him. Okay, so I'm going to do weapon.select weapon, so take that out. If selected weapon is not equal null, select weapon dot deselect weapon. Come back up here. So A and D are still rotating the dude, even when perspective is not top. Why is that? Set perspective, perspective equals desired perspective. That should all be occurring. Alright, so that works. If I do that, it doesn't work. If I go to 2, then over here, aha! So we're not setting perspective when we change the guy. So when we select weapon, let's not do that. let's do that here. It's all coming together. Alright, that's all working now. Yep. Okay. We're almost at the point where we can start shooting things. So let's quickly rush to that point. I want to shoot stuff. Probably shouldn't admit that. Confessions. Okay, sphere. Now it says sphere, and you're probably thinking it looks like a sphere, but if you think that, you're dead wrong. It's totally like a big boulder, like a massive boulder built for destruction. It needs a rigid body. Let's give it some fat mass. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beast, that thing. That linear. Okay, so boulder ready to destroy. Let's make our prefab. Pretty much just going to call it boulder, graphics, and we're going to throw in the sphere. Sphere, if I can manage to drag. Right, so reset that. Let's reset, that's reset. Remove the rigid body from there, that was a mistake. Put it instead on the prefab parent. Now before, when I spoke about the camera on this thing, we'll have to probably start dealing with that shortly. I've got a thing here for bullets, so I drop that in there. That's all good to go. So now our weapon script. Get a bit more action. We need to throw in, well, if we need a bullet script, probably not necessarily at the moment. We'll instead stick with the weapon script, letting it do its thing. Let's jump into which one of these has. Let's grab this stuff for a sec. Just start preparing to clean this up. Okay. Camera transforms. Add in proper comments for these at some point. The transform with the position and rotation desired for the camera when looking at this weapon in the main perspective, standard perspective. It's a big comment, but highly reusable. The top. Right, I didn't aiming. The side aiming. Alright. The transform of the root object, which parents all graphical elements. Alright, so that'll do for now. Don't really want that. What we want is a public game object. This is going to be a prefab reference. So bullet prefab. Catapult meet boulder. Alright. We want when we're in. So how are we going to do this? How about we make it for now go into side aiming mode. So side aiming mode is where you shoot from. Top aiming mode you aim at left and right. Side aiming mode is more of a power, and then you shoot. Okay. Let's make that happen. So when you're in the side perspective, if you hit the key code space, hit the space bar, you shoot things. Select a weapon dot shoot. Okay. Public void shoot. So there's going to be a power factor here, which we haven't yet done anything for in terms of determining what the power will be, or I'm not sure. Doing the, I've sort of know how I want to do it in the final thing with the weapons, but if I want to do a placeholder thing, I might just put a GUI slider in or something like that just to choose the power. I might do that shortly. For now, let's just use a standard power. We're going to need a range, so shoot power range equals new vector 2. So the minimum power shot, minimum shot power, force that will apply to the rigid body. It's going to be a bit of trial and error, I think. And the range shouldn't be that extreme, because there's not going to be much point in just doing a shot just here. It's probably going to be you're going to be able to miss. Sure, you're going to be able to miss. You're going to be able to shoot down and just hit nothing. Probably have some cool effects when things get hit. Maybe some like crack decals and stuff. You want to be able to shoot over, you want to be able to shoot below, but and you obviously want to be able to aim at a particular thing on here. So since you're going to be doing a lot of subtle aiming, and these platforms probably get bigger as well. The platforms might end up being right up on you. So maybe I do want to have a fair range. Come to think of it, so let's just try that for now. How this is going to work will depend on sort of how we apply the force to the rigid body and the weight of the bullets and stuff like that. So shoot power range, it's cool. So we're going to be able to set the power on it, and that'll be done through, I think, through a method on the weapon. So as you're touching the screen or clicking the mouse on, or something, however this is controlled, the game manager, if that's where the input ends up happening, it will call a method on the weapon to sort of set power, and that will then adjust the graphics accordingly, calling appropriate animations or set them to an appropriate time in the animation. Across the 3-hour mark, this is getting on. I want to end it soon. Get at least the weapon stuff in, the basic weapon stuff in, and the camera stuff in. Obviously not to a final standard, but close. So that's definitely my goal with this one. So hold on, let's just chuck in a shot force. This is going to be a range from 0 to 1. Make it 1 for now. Okay, so shoot. We're going to game object instantiated bullet equals game object casted instantiate bullet. Yep, that's what we want. Let's do a null reference check up here. Okay. I want to instantiate at a certain point, so let's put in a reference node for where to instantiate the boulder. Should be different per weapon. Yeah, my catapult prefab has a stupid position because I didn't reset it before I checked it in. Alright, so let's make a ref nodes. Bullet creation point, and let's drop that. So a catapult will shoot from up here somewhere. You know, the arm will go like that with more in this motion, I suppose. It'll instantiate it from around there or up here. It's going to be a big arm, maybe. I suppose it probably will need to be to work, to function. We need a bullet transform bullet instantiation point. Not a transform, but a transform. That one, and that one, that one, and okay. Transform position. Density's fine. Well, actually, what kind of bullets we have? If they're all round, it's not really a big deal. Maybe I want to start them at some sort of random rotation as well. Well, let's use the bullet prefab rotation for now, in case we do need to set it to a particular rotation. No, the instantiation point rotation, sorry. Use. Okay. Let's get the rigid body of the bullet. Instantiated bullet. Instantiated bullet. Rigid body. Now that shouldn't be null. Let's put that out there that it shouldn't be null. If it's null, I'm going to get a null reference. I'll fix it. Error handling can come later. Let's just get this working. Add explosion force, add force, add force. So add force. I'll pick the force mode shortly. For now, let's go. Okay. Okay. We've got to pick more than just power, because we need to determine also a direction for this force, some sort of overall velocity vector. So if I'm on the side for a catapult, probably not too much choice. It's going to do what it's going to do. So maybe I should have a min-max, some way of aiming as well. So I'm going to probably put a bool in, I guess, for weapons to determine whether or not you can aim, or figure out how that works and change the velocity. Maybe do a make this instead more of a base class for weapons to inherit from if they need to. Say, for the ballista can aim up and down, it can do its own custom stuff to the force vector. For now, let's just be simple and yeah, let's just do this pretty simply and use the forward vector multiplied by this force, shot force, which multiplies the, what was the other thing we called, shoot power range, dot, no, ff dot lerp, shoot power range x, shoot power range y by shot force. Okay, that did not shoot with much force. So you have various force modes to work with. Let's go into the documentation and see the difference between each one of them. So acceleration for continuous acceleration, don't want that. Force, continuous force, we've already impulse. So impulse is I think what we want to use for this situation. We're still probably going to need to increase the what we're doing in terms of the yeah, man, that went a little further. Not impressively so. Let's center that, apply that, save it, and delete it. When I said that was bold before, I think it's, I'm not sure if it actually, well, that's not bold. Yeah, maybe prefab instance positions are bolded by default, because even when I just had this catapult just drop out in the scene, it's at the prefab position. Unity must have decided that rotation, no, it doesn't bold that. You must have decided to just make it always prefab override the position, and I appreciate that. Boulder, catapult, the power range 500, 1000. So it's going to need some sort of up vector to it. So let's add that. Let's add this. So we want to shoot it in a particular direction at a velocity. So it's probably fine to just add a vector. So on vector 3 for the direction. Shoot direction. New vector 3. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to set this for the ballista. This is what will change based on how you tilt it up and down. This is not going to be, I'll normalize this later. I mean, I'll normalize it in the awake function. It's probably the way to go, and obviously the ballista will have to normalize it itself, because I'm not going to bother about making this normalized as I type it here. So a bit of up. Normalize that. Grab it. Just do the. No, I want to do that in local space. So if you want to take something like a direction, that's in world space and transform it into the local space of a particular transform. In this case, we'll use transform direction. That'll work fine. So you have transform direction, inverse transform direction, transform point, and inverse transform point, and basically simple as using the transform point, transform direction to take something from local to world, and the opposite is inverse. So in this case, we're going to try inverse transform direction, shoot power range, add force. Actually, I should probably check if that is adding it in world space. I'm gonna assume it is. Okay. Where did that end up? Wow. That's pretty impressive. That was a pretty impressive little shot. I wonder if that was something to do with this, or if it was something to do with the amount of power we were doing. $501,000. Ah, that's the shoot power range. That's not what we want at all. We want shoot direction. Okay. That's gone right over the top and tried to destroy our catapult on the other side. But that looks kind of cool. That seems to be what we want. The range is probably a bit extreme, but let's see what happens if we use the lower range. Alright, so those ranges probably aren't correct. But we can modify those later. So shot force, that's cool. Let's put something in to modify that. So let's do something temporarily in here. So we're in the side view on GUI dot slider, vertical slider, right? That will work. Okay. Vector 3. Okay. Screen space, pause. Camera manager. Main camera. World screen point of the selected weapon dot transform. Yep, returns what we want. Menu rect top Y width 10. What is this? A vertical slider. Okay, height 50. Selected weapon dot shot force 0 to 1, and make shot force equal whatever it's set to. What's up? Best overload match for world screen. That's a vector 3, of course. Get your world position. play that. 3. Alright, there's our now showing that the entire time perspective equals perspective side. Why would it be doing that? Ah, it's not. It's not. That's okay. That's my mistake. Okay, so if I put it halfway, hit space. Ooh, we're shooting in the wrong direction. Okay. Perhaps I made a mistake here. Shoot direction is that. Transform direction. Bam. Okay, so is it always shooting in the positive Z direction? Yes. No? Pause. That's shot positive X. This one. That's shot in the correct direction. That one's shot incorrect. But the same sort of incorrect. Interesting. So we're using the add force. Okay. That'll be normal. That's shot. Okay, so now it's in world space. Yep. Yep. Now it's the point. Yeah, okay, that's not gonna work. So direction should be fine, but it's not. Direction from world space. Say it's strange that the add force. Yeah, no space parameter. This transform direction, shoot direction. I believe that's correct, but it's obviously not. More investigation. Okay, which one's which? Looking at this one. Catapult 4, that direction. Alright, let's output The easiest way to do this is to output the result of this. Yep, as expected. Aha. Let's change my calculation here to something that I know will work. Well, I don't know it'll work, but I'm much more confident. That's stupid. Why am I doing that? Inverse transform direction. All I want to do, let's think about it for a moment, is take that and put it into local space of this fire in that direction. I want that vector in this thing's local space. It's giving me X. For this one. Which is, okay, so Z, it's catapult 4. Right, so put into local space. Right, I'm gonna keep it. It's quite frustrating. I'm not sure why I'm having so much issue with this, to be honest. Alright. We'll also point out that it is extremely late at night when I'm recording this after a long day, so please bear with me while I... Alright. Problem solved. Thanks, Unity. That's not even right. Oh, did I hit? No, I didn't hit the... So over the top. Yep. Okay, it's all good. Strange that this power thing doesn't seem to be. Let's have a look. What have we got selected? Stop that and start it. Where are we at? Let's go. Shot force 1. Jump in here, go to 3. 1 is at the bottom, 0, that's lame. We want it the other way around. Game manager. Okay. That. Take that island of... awesome. Look at that. I think I just won. Pretty sure that's how you win the game. And things bounce on the clouds. Even better. Okay, so obviously stuff that falls and the boulders are going to need to be cleaned up at some point. I don't have scripts on the boulders at the moment, and I don't have scripts on the blocks. I'll probably put scripts on them to allow them to be destroyed with effects and things like that later on, and those could potentially handle their own destruction. But let's actually, and also let's jump in here and make some layers. Block, weapon, bullet, island, okay, let's make some destruction to the zone thing down here for now. The killing zone, if you will. Alright, we want it to be big. Big enough to capture anything. Alright, that's... how far down is that? That's pretty far. Let's drop it in. Okay, whoop. And that'll do. So let's remove the... oh, we'll leave the renderer on there and just remove it so I can visualize it again later easily enough. So this is going to be the... we'll call it the killing zone. It sounds appealing, like a place to go on vacation. Gameplay, objects, general. Might shift it later. I'll chuck an object for now. Killing zone. Fairly basic for the moment, and we'll just on trigger, enter. Trigger. On trigger, enter, which takes what? Collider. We don't just want to destroy the other game object. We're more interested in destroying the root prefab object. That is possible to do that. We can find that and do that. However, no, let's have the things destroy themselves later on, once we've written the scripts for them. Killing zone, we can still leave that there We'll put it back in later on if there's any more general things that could possibly be falling around, but I believe I'll have scripts for everything. I think that's probably the best option. Okay, so where are we at? We've got weapons in. We can zoom around with the camera. We can aim. The aim doesn't work at the moment, does it? Or does it? I don't believe so. We can get that in. We can do that. Alright, so we've got some sort of aim angle, aiming Y angle. It's all in here, which is all well and good. Let's try this again. Actually, what kind of vector 3 methods do we have in Unity? Righto, righto. So this is a relative force. We really just want to what have we got? We've got the direction that we could rotate. Anyways, it's easier working with sort of add those together and normalize them. There's a Y direction, Z, XZ plane, angle, XZ plane vector. Add them together and normalize them. Should keep the same. Maybe not normalize that on the X amount. Yeah, I probably should have done some of this stuff a little bit differently in this aiming. Yeah, it's not going to work simple as that. Relative, yeah. Okay, instead we need to, I'm thinking maybe quickest thing to do for now, I think I might modify overall what I'm doing with that vector aiming. Rigid body is on the boulder, right. So we need to the boulder should be set to, I mean this boulder needs to be set to the rotation. Instantiation point is an issue with that anyway. It should work inherently, but the problem I have currently is that my reference node creation point is not childed to the graphics node, so it does not take on the rotation of the graphics node. So I can either reparent it, or I can use the script I made in the first episode, Object Startup, to do the reparenting at runtime, and that's probably the better alternative. So at that point, the bullet we made pause it and have a look. If we I'm not sure. Oh, let's just do it. Okay, so when we made this bullet, you can see it's flying in the right direction. What happened was, in the code here, the bullet was given the rotation of the bullet instantiation point, and the bullet instantiation point was reparented in its startup to the graphics node. And since the object was initially facing the same direction as the bullet creation point, it would have initially been pointing in that direction, and then as the parent rotated through our top aiming, so to do the bullet creation point, as its local rotation, it remains 0. What I'm thinking is that if I do what I thought I would put in, which is allow for weapons to start with, depending on maybe a later level, you want to start the things on a certain weird angle just to put you off. I would need to probably force the bullet creation point on reparent to set its local position and rotation in one or the other to 0. So probably the best way to do that would be to add something to the object startup script. So let's go in here and just put in a bool for set local rotation, false, public vector 3, public, we'll do all the angles, local rotation, and same for position. Okay. So what that allows me to do is ensure that even if when the reparenting happens, if the weapon starts on a weird angle or something like that, the bullet creation point will still have a local rotation of 0, and all that firing direction stuff will work appropriately. So let's jump into here. Do we still have that prefab in the scene? We do not. Chuck that in the scene. Go to the ref node and we'll tick set local rotation, leave that at 0, and apply that change to the prefab. Save project, save scene. Okay. Now you can see we can aim. Sorry, I've got to fix these controls up, it's putting me off. I might swap around the WSD for arrow keys. I can aim out there, go to here, shoot, and it's shooting in the direction that I'm aiming. So I can aim for this right wall, come here, change my power, shoot. And I could take out the right wall. So that's pretty cool. That works well. What I'm thinking now is the next step when you shoot. I want to have the camera follow the bullet in. So let me demonstrate the issue I was talking about earlier. I'm approaching the 4-hour mark. I'll probably end this pretty soon, but might as well keep going while I can. If I was to make this the point, obviously let's go over the shoulder again. Cool. Over the shoulder shot of the boulder, following that in. As a rigid body flying through the air, it's probably gonna get some rotation, some sort of might apply some torque or something, and it will start spinning. And as the boulder spins, so too will our little ref node spin around it. So if I'm trying to make the camera follow that transform, it's going to be a bit dizzying going around like this. So I'm going to need to come up with a better solution for that, and my thoughts would be to have the weapon do the some sort of position based on the weapon's position and the boulder's position, and have the camera sort of followed in based on that to a certain point. I think the way it would work is you'd fire, the camera would whip over to the boulder, you'd follow it in like so, and then stop here and see the destruction happen. Not follow it all the way in and watch your camera clip through stuff in an ugly way. Stop here, watch the destruction, and whip over to your next weapon and start doing stuff, and see the little leprechauns going freaking out and diving off the edge, or whatever they're gonna do, ride their rainbow to freedom. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that now. I think I'll probably call this a day. Call this day Friday. If I was to name it, I would name it Friday, but I'll call it a day. It's probably more what I wanted to say. I'm not sure what I'll get onto next time. Probably following the boulder into the camera, maybe start looking at doing that camera stuff around, or maybe focus more on developing the gameplay further. So working on different types of blocks, writing the script for the boulder, writing the script for the blocks, getting in some destructibility, so blocks can explode into chunks and have a strength, and the boulder, it can survive so much force. They can get damaged until they break, that sort of thing. That's probably what I'll get into next time. There's the good thing about this sort of game, I guess, is that it's more about content in a lot of ways. Developing the gameplay systems isn't too complex. I develop one block. In many ways I develop them all. There'll be custom things for certain blocks, sure, but for the most part they'll have the same general logic and functionality. Okay, this is a very long video. This would be a good chance for me to see sort of if length affects anything on YouTube, or if anyone, when people start watching these videos, if anyone watches them, if people like the long videos, if they dislike them, if they'd rather I broke them up into smaller chunks. This one was a bit strange. I mostly focused on doing some stuff, and a couple of little roadblock things, and just a few brain farts. That's to be expected when you develop for 4 hours late at night. In the end, we got there. Not too bad. It's starting to take shape, so that's pretty exciting. Okay, thanks for that. I'll get on to part 3. If I need to split this, then it'll be part 4. I guess this will be part 2 and 3. Probably shortly, and if this video is okay and I publish it, I'll probably get to the point now where I'll start showing these off. I'll start posting on the Unity forum and around the place about these videos, so people can start checking them out, and maybe I'll give myself a bit of time between this video and the next, so that I can start receiving feedback and adjust accordingly. I think, you know, as it goes on, I'll get more into the flow of how I'm going to do these videos, and stop maybe stop rambling as much. Maybe focus more on, as I've talked about, you know, doing one particular thing or another. Alright, so in the interest of not rambling, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching, and you know, please let me know what you're thinking, what your thoughts are. Do you think the game will be cool? I think it'll be alright. I mean, I'm still super ecstatic about how this platform looks, to be honest. It's just a nice design, I feel. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing everything else come together, get the little dudes in. That'll be exciting. Okay, thanks for watching, and hope you tune in next time.